Hello, if you'd like to learn how to set up Divi Menu module vertically as a list of links with collapsible submenu items, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Ania and my goal here is to help you build beautiful websites. So this is going to be a recording of a live stream that took place inside our Divi Stylist community. So every month I'm doing a detailed step-by-step walkthrough for our Divi Stylist Academy students, and this time we are focusing on the Divi Menu module, trying to display it vertically as a list of links with additional collapsible submenus. Let me show you. Okay, so hopefully you should see my screen now. This is a demo page and a comparison between the default menu module, which is, horizontal list of links. If they don't fit on one line, they go to the second line. And if there are any submenus, we see it this way. And this is what we are going to make out of this menu. So the submenus can be hidden like this, even the second level. And then on smaller screen sizes, the standard navigation changes to hamburger with the mobile menu, but we can keep the vertical layout throughout any screen size. So I think that is super helpful for a few reasons, really. We can use that layout for footers, sidebars, when the navigation is like next to the content and we want to keep all the links visible. And yes, you could use just a text module and a list of links instead of the menu module, but there are a few advantages to doing it this way with the menu module instead of list of links. And even not just the submenu functionality, but also there are different plugins that can enhance the default menus in WordPress. For example, WooCommerce would have login, logout links, or if you're using any content restriction plugins, they could also allow you, for example, to hide and show particular menu items depending on the user role or user access level. So that's one thing. Another thing is that we can style active menu link inside a menu module, and that wouldn't be possible with just a plain text link. We wouldn't know if we are currently viewing that particular page when the text link is pointing to. But with menu module, we have this default classes and also even a setting in the menu module design tab, right? When we can change the color of active menu links. So that's also another reason why using menus for that type of horizontal navigation is better than a text module with a list of links. Now, I have recorded a tutorial in the past about how to display menu module vertically on all screen widths, and that tutorial includes a free layout that looks like this, with where we focus on how to achieve that vertical navigation and also with this little hover effect. So I am going to use that as a starting point, but it doesn't take into account the submenus, and that is what we are going to focus on today. So here is the CSS I shared with that tutorial, and it's basically changing the display property of all these different containers that are, I will show them, I will show it in a moment in the inspector. We'll look at the HTML structure of our menu. So these are all the different containers that hold our menu module, and we just might want to make sure that they are visible. So we're setting the display property to block, and also not only visible, but also changed from flex to block so that they wrap and are underneath each other instead of next to each other. And then we're hiding the mobile navigation. So I am going to copy that as a starting point, but let me just show you. So, okay, first let me copy that, and I have my, somewhere here, there is my, where are you? 1 second. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is a style sheet of that demo page that I'm working on, and as soon as I paste that code or I will not save yet. Let me just first let me show you how does it look here on the if we inspect that page. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so here inspect, and let's look at the structure behind the mobile navigation, but let's look at the desktop version first. So here our menu module, you see how it uses flex. Chrome Inspector will tell you immediately with this little pills of content that container is displayed using flex. So we have ETPB menu inner container, ETPB menu wrap, ETPB menu ET menu nav. These are all divs or nav items, and also UL that are using flex so that they are displayed inline and not block. Now with the code I just showed you, we are going to make sure that that flex is no longer flex. So let me just save that here, and now if I refresh that page, oops, sorry, DLV menu, did I add a CSS class? Okay, yes, so I need that CSS code is targeting a menu module with a CSS class of DLV, V for vertical navigation. So let me just make sure that this menu module is using that class. So in the advanced custom CSS, DLV menu, save that. You see it's already working here because of the CSS being in our child theme. And now you can see that the links are displayed vertically, but the problem with Submenu remains. It doesn't look nice on desktop, and it will on mobile. If we check how it looks on mobile, it's fine, but the submenus would still kind of work incorrectly. That's not how we would want to see that page. Like, this is what we want to happen, right? Okay, so first step is to make sure we are going to need to use some CSS and also some jQuery for hiding and showing. But first, with CSS, let's kind of create that state when everything is visible, like all the submenus are outside, not hidden, not collapsed, but visible as the second level. Because in some cases, that could be the end goal, really. You may not want to use the collapsible thingy, right? Maybe you want to display all the links right away, even if they are the second level links. Looking at the structure here, we have going from the top, from the main menu container, we have ETPB module, ETPB menu, right? That is the class for the menu. DLV menu, that's my class to make sure that I'm working with that specific module. And then we have all these inner containers, and inside first an ordered list, menu multi-level menu 1. Oh, that's the ID, and it's based on the name that I gave it in the appearance menus. It has a class of ET menu and also a class nav. Next, we have first list item, and that is the parent menu item. And when WordPress item menu item has children, it would also have this class menu item has children. That's only visible when it has children. And inside that parent list item, we have first a link and then UL submenu. Now I've set up the first one to have two levels of submenus. So in that UL we still have links, and one of these is this one is also a parent menu item. So there's another UL with submenu nested as the third level UL. So let's try to target that UL. When I select UL with a class submenu, I can see right away that it's using position absolute. So let's target that submenu ourselves, but with additional class of Divi Menu. And let's set position back to relative. Okay, so that kind of put it back to the structure of the page. Position absolute would take it out on a separate layer, but position relative makes sure that it actually is there. It's taking its place, but it's not visible. And that's because of these two properties, visibility hidden and opacity 0. So let's add visibility visible and opacity 1. Okay, so there it is. There's my menu. Now it has, just looking here, it has a left and top position change. The width is set to a specific width. So let's reset all that. Top 0, left 0, width. Let's do auto for now. And let's see. This Li, you see it uses flex still. So let's reset that Li list item to use display block. So I think we are safe to target any Li inside Divi menu with display block. Let's see if it worked. If I click here, you see my Divi menu Li display block property has been crossed out, meaning there is a different rule set that's more specific. The CSS is getting overwritten by something else. And I can see right away it's here, display flex. That selector uses two CSS classes and 3 elements. I only have one CSS class and 1 element. But to make it simpler, I will add ID to all the CSS that I'm writing to make sure none of the problems like this happen. So as a parent, I will choose the main ID that's wrapping the entire page content, div ID page container. So if I add that ID here at the beginning of my selector, that CSS will work. Okay, so that is a good start, right? Now everything is kind of on its place. There are still some appearance issues that can be fixed. Let me get back to my submenu, the styles that I'm setting here. You see the top and left position has been crossed out. So the same story. I'm going to add ID page container, and now if I click away and back, we'll see that now top and left is working correctly. Now we do not want that border, so border top none. We do not need that box shadow, no, not box sizing, sorry, box shadow none. And yeah, the rest is kind of appearance styles. I would change the width of my list items and also my links. So, but I'm not going to focus on making it pretty. I just want to share how to achieve that functionality, and then styling is like less important for now. But let's fix the width. Okay, so Li display, maybe let's go with inline block instead, or no, block but let's set the width to fit content. The same for links, because you see the links have set width, especially the submenu links. So we want to reset that. I'm going to open the inspector style sheet. So here I'm targeting Liz, and I also want to target all the A's with width fit content. I think that, yes, now it's going to be as wide as the text inside, which, you know, we could also go with 100%, depending on this actual structure. You may want to choose one or the other. The fit content and making sure the link is only as wide as the actual text inside will help us align the little, you know, toggle next to the link. But for certain layouts, you may want to align them, you know, on the side as well. That's also fine. Let's just try removing that. Okay, let's see. So right now everything is visible. I do want to hide that little arrow. That is not what I'm going to use to show and hide my submenus, because this uses sorry, let me copy what I already wrote here. That after element, that icon that's added by Divi to any item that has children, since it's a pseudo element, it's actually inside of the link, so it's going to be difficult to use it as our toggle. We will create our own to attach the functionality to a separate thing. So this I want to hide. Now it is added to a first child after pseudo class to a first child link inside an element with a menu item has children inside ET menu. I can use the same exact selector and just replace ET menu with my DLV menu and choose display none. Right here, okay? Did I copy the whole thing? Let me copy the whole thing and place it here in the style sheet. So what we did, we've reset some of the styling for the submenu, change the list to not use flex as well, and change the width of the links, and also we've hid the little arrow. Now before I hide that, let me just remove that for a second, refresh that page. I want to show you that this after pseudo element is using content 3 and ET modules font, meaning the 3 is just a name of the symbol of the icon font, the Elegant Themes icon font used. We are going to use that 3 in a moment. I just wanted to show you that that's the content for that icon, okay? Okay, so back here, display none, and now if I refresh the page, the layout is ready. So now let's try to first, with jQuery, add that little toggle that we're going then use to show and hide submenu based on click event. But first, looking back at the HTML structure, we have a list item, a link, and a UL next to the link. So I want my subtoggle to be on the same level as the sibling of these two. I want to put my toggle next so that I can position it next to the A link, and so that it's also, you know, not inside the submenu. I want this to be in between the link and UL. So for that, I'm going to use the before method in jQuery. We are targeting submenus, UL with class submenu, and before we want to add well, we can add anything. I'm going just to add a span with a class and a symbol 3. And then if I set its font family to ET modules, it will display as an icon. We could use the plus, we could use an image, like anything really. But to make it simple, we are going to use the same icon that was originally there. Okay, so in my child theme, I have set up scripts.js, but you could also put that code in a code module. Now this is for something else, so please disregard that. But here inside, okay, so let's do it this way. Inside jQuery document ready function, we are targeting UL with a class submenu, right? And we want to attach attach a span with a class DL subtoggle. Sorry, sub. And then 3 as the content for it. Okay, but I don't want to target any submenu, only the one that is inside my DLV menu, vertical menu. So DLV menu, submenu before, and I'm adding that 3. Let's save that and refresh my page here. There it is. So there is my 3 symbol. It is now in between link and UL. I have a span DL sub toggle. So first let's style it a little bit. So in the, let's start here. Span with a class DL sub toggle, font family, ET modules. That changes it to that arrow because we are using symbol 3. Now let's try using display inline block. And then if we float, one second, how I did that? Float left or display? Yes, I want to use display inline block on my links as well. So this way these two are next to each other. And then UL is using display block, not inline block, so it will go to a new line. Actually, let's make sure that that happens by using display block right here. Okay, so A and a span are inline block. That means that if there is enough space, they will go next to each other, and then UL is using display block. Now, the way I'm doing it now, changing the styles of already existing rule sets, I won't be able to just copy it from here. I have to remember what I'm doing. So here I've added display inline block to my, back here to my A elements, and our submenu display block. Sorry. But back here when we started to style that little arrow, right? The span with a DL class subtoggle. So we have font family, display, inline block. We can, what we can do? We can set a border or just define a width and height, okay? So let's say width 20 pixels. We won't see anything, but let me just add a background for a second, so you see where it is. So width 20 pixels, height 20 pixels. Let's do border 1 pixel, solid and gray, something like that. Now the icon is not in the center, so since we are not going to use flex, or can we display inline flex? Flex inline? No, let's do inline block, but to position the text in the center, we can use just text align center, and also define the line height to make sure that it's in the middle. So if it's 20 and there's a border, the line height should be 18. You see, now the icon is directly in the center, I will remove the background so we can see it better. And I'm going to use transform to scale it so that it's bigger, because if I were to scale it with font size, that could mess up the alignment of like it would interfere with the font and line height of other menu items. But transform property will can change the size of an element without affecting other elements. So transform, and then scale, and let's do 1.2, something like that. Now you'll notice that it's being pushed to the side, and that's because each link with that has a submenu also has additional right padding. So I guess it's fine. I did remove it here for my example, but I think it's okay. We can leave it like this. So let me just take a look at what I wrote. That is the styling of that submenu toggle. I will add that below. Okay, so what we want to do, this is pretty complex. Like, it's not a matter of a simple click event, mainly because there already is JavaScript that's affecting menu links. It's coming from Divi. Divi is using JavaScript to make sure the submenu behaves correctly for the mobile navigation and all that. So we have to kind of remove what's already happening with JavaScript, what the Divi is trying to do, and we can do that by using the off method. And all the functionality, well, not all, but the part that we want to remove is added to list item with a class of menu item has children. So if we target that, menu item has children off, and we're going to turn off the TouchEnd, I think event, I'm not sure the proper naming, but TouchEnd, that is how Divi is attaching their script. So if we do this, there won't be any conflicts. But again, I only want to target menu items that have children within my container. And now I will set my own TouchEnd and click event. TouchEnd is for mobiles, like when you finish touching, like finish tapping, something. That would be the simplest explanation. So we want to attach that TouchEnd and also click event to a document, but then define what specifically needs to be clicked when something else is going to happen. So to do that, we are targeting document. Sorry, like this. And then on TouchEnd and click, but specifically where? Specifically on DL subtoggle. And also, we also want to use, because what I'm trying to do is to show and hide submenu. I want to do it when I click that subtoggle, but also when I click empty parent link. Okay, this one is empty, meaning it uses hash symbol for the link URL. Let me show you. A href hash. That is how we set up empty links. That is what's happening with links if you enable that option to disable top tier menu items in Divi theme options. So we want to target first link that has href with a hash symbol inside a menu item has, if inside a li with a class menu item has children. This, when clicked, also should show and hide should trigger that function that shows and hides the submenu. So back here, not only DL submenu, but with comma, I can specify the second thing that when clicked, something else is going to happen. DLV menu for our parent, and then li with a class menu item has children. Direct link, not all empty links inside, but just the first one. So that's what right caret does. And a with an h attribute that's set to hash symbol. So href like this. Sorry, not 3 but hash. When a has href with that equals hash, and it's a direct descendant of a list item with a menu item has children, that's inside the LV menu. When we click or finish touching it, then we will perform a function. I'm attaching event to that function as well, so that we can set up the prevent default, so that it doesn't jump for hashtags, like basically to prevent anything else from happening. And now, okay, so going back here, we are clicking that span, the L subtoggle or an empty link. Then we want this submenu, which is sibling, like the same level, so a sibling of the thing that we are clicking. It could be either the span with a subtoggle, or that or the A link, actually right here, the L subtoggle, or that A link if it would be empty, right? And then sibling is what we are trying to show and hide. So from this, what we just clicked, we want to find siblings, UL, or UL with a class submenu, but there's only one possible UL in there, so this is fine. And then we're going to use the slide toggle method, or just animation in jQuery. Let's see. Document on TouchEnd and click when we click subtoggle or the empty link, we're going to slide toggle the siblings. But first, you see how they are already there. I also want to hide them initially, and I don't want to do it with jQuery because that could cause that one slight second when we see it and then it gets hidden. So we're going to hide it with CSS instead. So back where we are targeting the submenus, actually we can use display none instead of display block. Okay, so the slide toggle is actually changing between display block and display none. So initially they are hidden. Now if I refresh the page, there's no submenus, and then as I click, we see our second level links. Now I also have here, you see how we animate this, and that is happening based on another change that we are triggering with jQuery, and that is a class name change. So I am going to add a class to the parent element as it's, as the same elements are clicked. Then the li that's holding them together will get a class of toggled, and then based on that I will target my subtoggle with a different transformation. So just going back here on that same click or TouchEnd happening, we also want to find the parent of that thing that's being clicked. So second line of code will look for a parent, and then on the parent we're going to toggle class toggled. That's just slightly confusing, hopefully. Okay, now I will save that, refresh the page, and then looking at that Li, as I click the, no, not this one, sorry, I have this Li, you see, toggled, and then no toggled class. It has toggled class and then it doesn't. So that part works. Now I want to change the subtoggle as it is inside the toggled class. I guess I could change the class of the subtoggle itself, but in case we would want to target anything else, as it's, you know, opened for some reason, then we would have that class on the parent element. So when the span with subtoggle class is inside an element with class toggled, a lot of toggling, then we will transform it. Keeping the scale transformation, we will also rotate it by 180, I think. I'm not sure. Let's save that. Okay, so there is, you see now it's in the other position, but it happened instantly because there is no transition. So our subtoggle also need a transition. 0.3 seconds is, for example. Now going back here. Now it transitioned, but you see I've unintentionally targeted all subtoggles inside. So to prevent that from happening, I only want to target here span subtoggle, any span inside the toggled class. But if we add the right caret symbol, that's going to be first level child element. So even if there's more spans with a class DL subtoggle further in the HTML structure, they won't get transformed when inside the toggled parent. Only the first child. You see, this is correct, and now it goes back here. Okay, so one last thing. Well, I did some changes here in the spacing, but just so it looks better. Last thing I did here is I like to, when I'm doing uppercase for the first level links, I like to keep the submenu links lowercase. It's just, you know, I think it looks nice. So to target submenu links, now the A element, you see it's using text transform uppercase, and that is using the ETPB menu 1, so a selector that's generated by the Divi builder, and it has two classes and a few elements. I could just target where I have my submenu, so any link inside the submenu, so any A element will have text transform property set to none. And there's one thing here that's also going to happen. Let's save that. I'm not sure how good we will be able to see that, but there's also a slight background color change on hover that's happening on submenus in the Divi Menu module. So if we don't want that, oh, and there's one, the transition here. If we don't want that background color change on hover, I think if we remove the background on initial state with that very specific selector, it would also affect the hover state. So background none. Yeah, no background, but you see how it does this like weird jump where here it is smooth. It's because of the transition, I think, and that would be on the UL submenu as well. So I will remove transition none here on the submenu inside my, my submenu. And now it works better. Okay, one last change. You see the cursor we could do a hand cursor on our span. By default, since it's not a link, it wouldn't change to little hand that suggests it can be clicked. It wouldn't matter on mobile, but on desktop, definitely. Cursor pointer, just like that. Yeah, now that's better. And that's it. Now it will work on smaller screen sizes, like on a mobile. That can be, you know, super useful for footers, sidebar navigation, for, you know, pages with a lot of content. I hope it's helpful. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it was helpful. If you enjoy this sort of training and if you'd like to learn more about how to use custom CSS with Divi, I invite you to check out my CSS and Divi challenge. You'll find all the links below the video. Thank you again and see you next time.